Coming up next on this edition of Being Well, we'll be talking about the latest trends in fitness. Our guest is Wendy Holland, Wellness Director at the Mattoon Area Family YMCA. We'll learn more about things like functional fitness, high-intensity interval training, and personal training. Wendy has a lot of good information to share, so don't go away. Being Well starts now. Production of Being Well is made possible in part by Sarah Bush Lincoln Health System, supporting healthy lifestyles, eating a heart-healthy diet, staying active, managing stress, and regular checkups are ways of reducing your health risks. Proper health is important to all at Sarah Bush Lincoln Health System. Information available at sarahbush.org. Additional funding by Jazzercise of Charleston. Well, today on Being Well, we're talking about new trends in fitness, and what better person than someone from the Mattoon Area Family YMCA. Welcome to Being Well, Wendy.
Thank you.
Well, tell us a little bit about your background and what you do at the YMCA.
Well, I found fitness as a passion about 7 years ago, just kind of going to the gym and seeing what was there, taking group exercise classes, making friends. And then about 3 years ago, I moved to Mattoon and found our Y, which is not the Y that we're at now, but it was a lot smaller. Found our Y, got to know the people there. I started loving it, started teaching a little bit, and then I became the wellness director December of 2010. Love it. Love being around the people, helping them find health, wellness, fitness, and a healthier lifestyle.
So you've been doing fitness for a while. I've been doing fitness for a while. We were laughing about I was an instructor in the 90s, and some of the outfits we used to wear, which we won't get into detail on.
You should have worn one today.
I should have. No, thank you. Let's talk about how fitness has changed in the last 10 years, particularly in the class format.
Okay. Everything has changed, really, I would say. You know, the style of classes has changed, and some of it's come back around. Step was big, probably when you were teaching, and it's faded in and out, and it's big again.
Really?
And so, yeah, we do step at the Y, but we have integrated a lot of weight training into our classes, so that's added a lot of elements, and then a lot of certification trainings, whereas back in the day it was more of, I want to do it. It's fun. I'm going to teach it. Well, now we get certified. We go to classes. We have to continue our knowledge in order to be an instructor. So it's changed a lot, and fitness changes every day. So our instructors are keeping up to date on all that.
So what do you see as kind of the major shift in some of the fitness trends in the last few years?
I would say in the last couple of years, a lot of what we call things, really. Everything has a name. So 10 years ago, you had interval training. Now you have high intensity interval training, HIIT training. Probably very similar, but now it has a name, and so people are more into, oh, I know what HIIT is, and that's what I'm going to do now, because it has a name, and it's fun, and it's cool. So I think that, you know, even though trends have changed, and they will continue to change, they are coming back around. Okay,
so let's talk about interval training. Really, at its core, what is it, and how has it kind of evolved to today?
So what it is you're going to do high intensity, get your heart rate really high, and then bring it back down. So you have a little bit of a warm-up, and then you shoot your heart rate up, and then you bring it back down. You're not going back to resting, but you're coming back to kind of a normal, and then you shoot it back up, and you bring it back down. So, and they're short, 20 minutes, maybe. So that's a lot that appeals to a ton of people.
So the overall class is 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The intervals, how long are the intervals?
It depends, a minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 4 minutes. It just depends on your level and what the instructor would want you to do. So, but it appeals to a lot of people because I don't have time for an hour class, or I don't have time to be at the Y for an hour and a half, or, you know, get on a treadmill and then get off a treadmill and do this and do that. And so it appeals to them because they can do it and they're done. They're still burning calories when they're done, and they go about their day.
So what is it about that interval training where, the heart rate's up and then it comes back down. What makes that more effective versus just being at a certain, heart rate level for 30 minutes?
What it does is it's getting your heart rate up and starting to burn more calories and more fat, like you're right under your skin, that fat, your abdominal fat. It starts to burn those pretty good. So then you're going to bring it back down, and when you're coming down, your heart rate is still up.
Okay.
So even though you're settling down, your heart rate's still up, and that is what is going to help you burn your calories.
So these classes, tell me a little bit about how a HIIT, we'll use the right term, a HIIT class actually would work. What's the format of it, and what do people do?
Looking like a boot camp.
Okay. Another buzzword, boot camp.
So if you were to think of what a boot camp would look like, so you come in, you might have a warm-up, whatever your warm-up is. Maybe it's just, marching in place and jumping jacks and whatnot. And then you're going to take your heart rate up. So maybe it's just, higher intensity jumping jacks, or it's burpees where you're getting on the floor, full body type stuff. And then you come back down. You're going to bring it down a little bit. Maybe we're just back to jumping jacks, and then we're going to take it right back up. So it's just shooting your heart rate up there. You're going as hard as you can. So it's not I'm just going to go. I'm going to do some jumping jacks. No, you're going to do them. And you're going to do them hard as you can for that time frame.
Okay, so we're gonna chat a little more about that, but let's talk about some of the other types of fitness classes that are kind of buzzwords and popular right now.
Okay.
You see a lot of, when I was doing the research for this, lots of fusion classes, lots of things where they're taking in the word yoga and Pilates. And it's suddenly yoga lattes.
Yeah.
And so what other kinds of things are popular right now?
We have Zumba, which is dancey dance.
So which goes back to the old days of like the Jane Fonda 1980s sort of workout where it was a choreographed kind of dance, and now that's popular.
It is more choreographed, but like with Zumba, it's more around the Latin music, generally, and more around the Latin music. There's core steps to it, and then the instructors add on from there. But I think for a lot of people, what it does is it takes their mind off of it being a workout. It's not a workout anymore, it's fun. And they're burning a ton of calories and getting a good workout, and they don't even realize it. So I think that's why that kind of trend comes back around. Because I'm not like, I'm gonna go lift weights. No, I'm gonna go have fun and see my friends and hang out. So it's fun.
And I've noticed too, I'm a bicyclist, we've got indoor cycling started, I don't know how many years ago, spinning.
Yeah.
Now there's different variations of spinning.
Yeah, spinning is a proprietor name, so only people who are spinning certified can say they're spinners.
Okay.
And everyone else we're cycling certified.
Okay.
So like my certification is through the Y and through Kaiser, and so they're just different names for it and different bikes. So if you're set up on a different bike, that's really the biggest difference. And as the bikes are evolving, some of them like tilt.
Really?
So it's more real life. Some places have screens on the background, so you're like riding through the mountains and whatnot, and that's the biggest difference. And for cycling, it's this time of year we're coming into our busy time because people can't get outside. They can't get outside and ride, but then in summer and spring and fall, that's where they're going to be, is outside. But it gets busier. The music is loud and it's great and it keeps you going. And some people they're I'm just going to sit in a class and ride a bike for an hour. No, it's about the music, and the instructor gets you through different workouts on the bike.
Let's talk about core training. That came out, I don't know how many years ago, where you got to work your core, your core. Is that still popular?
Always. Always have to work your core. It keeps you up, standing, walking, sitting, laying down, everything. Getting up from a seated position. Your core is what braces you. So always, always, always core.
So classes that work the core are more in the Pilates and yoga realm of things?
Pilates and yoga, but even in the weight training or in Zumba, all the instructors are always, tighten your core, hold it tight, shoulders back, chest up. That's always something that they're going to be, pushing throughout a class.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about functional fitness. That's another, we talk about words, that's another one. What does functional fitness mean?
For your everyday, to balance, to walk, that's your functional workout. So for us, a lot of it's Tai Chi. So and for Tai Chi, if you were in really good shape and you looked, you're like, that looks kind of boring.
Kind of just moving through the air. There is some purpose to
But
it.
for anyone who has balance issues, it's amazing because they do take the time they're walking across the room, but they're looking in the mirror and seeing, is my foot where it needs to be? Am I where I need to be? Is my core tight? You know, those kind of things. So they are doing the things that, you know, we learned a long time ago, but you lose over time. So it's the basics. It's really the basic stuff, and it works amazing. And we see a lot of progression with people in Tai Chi. And they love it because, again, a lot of times they don't think about it. They're doing these moves and they're doing things, and it's fun.
Talk a little bit about, I think a new trend is rather, you know, and we still have classes where the instructor leads the class and is actually doing the class, but now you have a little trend towards group personal training. What is that?
It's a little more one-on-one. So if we would max out, if we did group personal training at about 10, we would never load a trainer with more than 10 people. And what it is it's more personalized. So a trainer can say, well, you have a shoulder injury, so let's kind of make it around your injury. Whereas when you go to a Group X class, I'm not going to go, okay, out of 40 people, who has what injury? And now we're going to cater to 40 people. They can't do that. So when you go to the Group X or the personal training, the small group, they can focus on those kind of things, and it's more personalized. So if you have set goals, that trainer can work towards those goals, whereas in a Group X class, the goal is set by the instructor, really.
Yeah. And in the personal training, the personal trainer may not be doing all the exercises.
Oh, no.
They're really more of a coach.
Yeah, they are a coach, and they're correcting form. So whereas a Group X class, they can't correct everyone. But with personal training, that's what their job is to correct, make sure you're staying safe, you know, correct your form, posture, core, you know, embrace your core. They're sitting there telling you all those things over and over again. Pull your core in, you know, your back needs to be flat. And they're there the whole time, nagging you, getting everything right, making sure it's all perfect. So.
What sort of, if someone's looking for a personal trainer, I know there's several different classes and things that you can take. If you're looking for a personal trainer, what are the things that you as the consumer should be looking for in a person, like kinds of certifications? Because it's probably not a good idea just to go to someone and say, I'm a personal trainer.
Yeah, I would ask to see their cert. That would be my first thing. And my second thing, I would ask for references. So can I talk to someone who you've trained, or even if it's a new trainer, can I talk to, even if you're a new trainer, you've trained someone, you've worked with someone, you've given them advice. Can I talk to them? Can I just watch you? Can I come to the gym when you're training someone, or when are you going to train? And I can see what you do. And sometimes just how they interact with people. But seeing their certification is a big one. So, and then certifications are only good for a certain amount of time.
Right. Because it's always changing.
It is always changing. So you want to make sure that they're continuing to keep up with that kind of stuff. So, okay, yeah, you got your certification a year and 9 months ago, and it's going to expire in 3 months. But what have you done in that year and 9 months to keep yourself, you know, up on top of all the new trends and what's going on? So, you know, I want to see all that continuing education, so I know where you are.
And what I know, like American College of Sports Medicine, that's what are some of the common, if you see people that have like an acronym after their name, what are the more common certification?
ACE is a really big one right now. That's what my certification is. ACSM, NASM is a big one. ISSA is a big one. I mean, there's a million of them. And and there's some that I may get, and then I look and I say it's an online course. Well, I will go and I will research it. You know, what's the credibility behind it? Because just because you have a certification or you've gotten a certification doesn't mean it's a good one.
Okay.
So I would go and I would research, you know, is this what I'm looking for me, for an employee? Is this someone that I would want to train me and who I would trust to train with someone else?
So when people are, you know, watching, we maybe see ads on TV or something for all these different types of exercises or fitness classes or whatever, some are not appropriate for everybody. Some of them might be a little too intense, or, you know, maybe something that is HIIT or something like that. How should someone go about picking an exercise program that fits maybe their, you know, their age and maybe their fitness level?
I would say the big thing is look for something that is fun to you. So for me, maybe Zumba is fun, but for you it's not. And so I go and I try a class. Is it fun? Then I will continue to go. But maybe someone else likes to lift weights, so they see something, online where it's more about lifting weights and, building these big muscles and whatnot, and I try it. Do I like it? I will continue to do it. So even though it may not look like something, that you would or wouldn't enjoy, you have to try. You have to try. And you have to know that there, in any setting, there's all kinds of fitness levels. There's going to be people that they just started, or there's going to be people that have been doing this forever. There's going to be people that are coordinated and not coordinated and can do it and can't. And you just have to figure out, where do I fall on that spectrum? And even if I'm not coordinated, do I like it? And am I being safe doing it? And that's what matters.
And so say you go to a class and you're just, the next day, you're like, wow, I'm very sore. How do you know that that's, maybe you haven't done something for a while. How do you know that, okay, it's just soreness, I will get over it, versus something's really going on here?
I would say, and this is what I tell my classes when I teach, if you're sore, we're doing good. If you're going, I'm in pain, this is not right, then it's not right. We need to figure out what you were doing wrong, and do we need to seek further help? Like, do you need to go to a doctor? But being sore is okay. Our muscles are growing and they're expanding and they're learning, and that's all right. We want to be a little sore.
So sore for how many days should that soreness
it varies.
last?
It varies. A lot of people have, it's called delayed onset muscle soreness, and so it might be 2 days later when you even get sore, and that might last a couple of days, and that's okay. It's okay to be sore, and it's actually okay to work through the soreness, but you just don't want to, if you're lifting a lot, you don't want to work the same muscle groups 2 days in a row. So you want to let them break.
That's what I was going to ask. If you're really sore, what should you do? Should you just say, well, I need a week off? My guess is no.
We never take a week off. Stretch, do yoga. That's important, to get out there and stretch those muscles, but give them a day to rest. So if you work out on Monday and you say, I work my biceps and my triceps on Monday, I'm not going to work them again on Tuesday. I'm going to make sure they have time to recover and to get back where they need to be before I go and do it again.
So don't take that week off.
No, not a week.
I noticed when I was looking for some questions for our show that things like body weight exercises are very popular again. Well, it's what the military has always done. Yeah. And now we've just suddenly realized, oh, that's a good thing. What would be some body weight exercises?
Push-ups, planks, holding yourself down, tricep dips on the floor, burpees, if you've ever done a burpee. If you haven't, we should do one.
We'll show
maybe
one
not.
at the one. I have heels on. I don't think I could do one today.
But they're good because you can do them anywhere. So I don't have to have any equipment to do a burpee. I don't have to have any equipment to do a push-up or a sit-up or a crunch. It's me. I can do it anywhere. And they're good. They're full body workouts.
Because you're using your own body weight to hold yourself up. And if you've done a full push-up, depending on how much you weigh, that's a lot. It's hard. So what are some things that you're seeing that are not quite as popular now that will probably be popular in another few years?
I would say some things, like even cycling, it comes in and out. And that's a seasonal. It's a little more seasonal. Zumba was really, really big for a long time, and it's kind of going down a little bit, but it'll peak again. It'll come back up. Right now you can get so much stuff on TV. So you can buy the whole Zumba kit, and people want, I can do this by myself. You can, of course you can, but when you get in the group exercise setting, it's so different. It's so much more motivation and push and drive, and it's you, and you can do it. And I think that, as people realize that just because I can get it at home doesn't mean I should do it at home.
Yeah, and you might be knocking stuff over in your living room too. We were talking before the show started. I had asked you, do you have a lot of men in some of your classes? And you said what?
No.
And why do you think that is?
I think they're scared.
Our camera guy is nodding yes.
I think they're scared. I think that it's intimidating to them for a couple reasons. It's all women. I mean, it's mostly women instructors.
Even the more hardcore stuff that's boot camp, that you would think something called boot camp would attract a lot of guys.
But it doesn't. It just doesn't. Where we see our most men is in cycling. I have more men instructors in cycling too, whereas I don't have men instructors in my group exercise classes. So I don't see a lot of men. I have once in a while they'll pop in with a wife and they enjoy it. They'll tell me, oh, it was fun, I loved it, but they never come back, or it'll be a while before they come back.
I think they're worried that it's going to be some choreographed routine that everyone's going to know, and
yeah,
they're not
I think
going
that's
to know.
part of it, and I think they're really afraid that women are going to just show them up. And it happens a lot, you know. I mean, especially, you know, for my ripped class, the guys or the ladies have been coming and coming and coming, and they know what we're going to do. Well, and the guy comes in, they're like, oh, I don't, what are they doing here? And so they do look lost, and you know, they're sticking out because they're a man. They're standing in the back row, of course. They're never going to stay on the front row, and then they're lost. And so they're just sticking out like sort of, oh, look, here I am, I'm the new guy in the back row.
They should come. It's be a great, you know, it's kind of nice to have a mix of people in the class.
I have a guy who's come probably more regularly than most, and I think he has a military background, and he loves it, and he has told people, you know, when we're leaving class, and he'll tell them, he was like, you know, I can do this, and I'm getting stronger because of it, and they just don't see it that way.
I know in a lot of your classes there is a weight, it's not just aerobics, that there is a weight component. Using, let me ask you this, because people, you know, should you lift lighter weight, more repetition, or heavy and fewer reps? What's the trend now? Because it'll probably change in another 2 years.
It does change, and it depends on where you read. I tend to lift more reps and lighter weights.
Okay.
And but you'll still see the big guys in the weight room who are lifting just
5 reps or something.
Really, really heavy. I'm like, you could just lift my body probably. But yeah, I tend to go towards the lighter weight, more reps. And then once in a while I switch it up, but that's because you have to have muscle confusion. You don't want your muscles to always remember what you're going to do, so you have to switch it up as well.
Okay, so what does the one do that the other one doesn't? If you lift less weight but more repetitions, how does that change the muscle?
They tend to say that if you lift lighter with more reps, you'll have leaner muscles, so you're not going to bulk.
Right.
Whereas when you're lifting those heavy weights, you tend to bulk more.
Okay.
And so a lot of women they get worried that,
Which we've asked that question before.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, women are not going to look like men.
No,
when they lift.
your bodies are not made to look like that, to have those big, muscles, and our bodies are made to have the leaner muscles.
Okay, last question here. When you're thinking about working out, you get the 3 components. You've got, some weight bearing, you've got some cardio, and so you've got some stretch. What combination of that should you be doing? Because I know it's not good to do I just want to lift weights all the time. I don't want to do any cardio. What do you recommend as a personal trainer to kind of a balanced fitness program for somebody?
So for your weights, I would lift at least twice a week, if not 3 times. For your cardio, 3 or 4 times a week. And for your stretching, as often as you can.
Okay.
It is so important, and that's the one thing people leave out again and again is the stretching part.
And you said, that do you recommend people work out how many days a week?
I tend to lean towards 5.
Okay.
I think you need to have rest days. It's ideally that they're not back to back. But our lives just tend to be, my Saturday and Sunday are my rest days. They're my rest days. But 5 days a week is a good starting, a good goal.
And for how long? It doesn't have to be 2 hours.
It doesn't have to be very long. It's just if you get your workout in, if you're doing these high intensity interval trainings and you're getting 20, 30 minutes, you're good. You've worked really hard. You've gotten your heart rate up. You do what you need to do and move on. There's no reason it needs to be 2 hours in the gym.
And from our discussion, there's lots of things to choose from, so we're not going to get bored. Keep up with it. And it's always going to change. There's always going to be something new on the horizon.
It is.
Well, Wendy, thanks for coming over, and it was nice to meet you, and we look forward to maybe having you back again on the show.
Right. Thank you.
Thanks.
The bacterial infection may be mild in adults, but if the infection is spread to a baby who hasn't yet received a full course of vaccinations, whooping cough can be very serious. Reporter Vivian Williams has more on how to recognize and treat this disease.
Are you being shy?
21-month-old Pedro Escueda's symptoms started out like those of a typical cold.
He had a little runny nose and started having a little cough.
But over the next 4 to 5 days, Pedro's mom, Chelsea, says the cough got much worse.
It was nothing I've ever heard before. He was coughing and doing the whoop. he'd vomit.
And he couldn't catch his breath. When they took Pedro to the doctor, the coughing had subsided, so they figured maybe it was just a cold or some other infection.
But Chelsea knew there was something else wrong. So the next time Pedro had a coughing fit, her husband got it on video.
A nurse practitioner saw it and diagnosed it right away.
And she saw it, she goes, that's pertussis.
Whooping cough is also known as pertussis. It's caused by a bacterial infection that is spread from one person with whooping cough to another person.
What is he doing?
Dr. Thomas Boyce says whooping cough is particularly tough on kids younger than Pedro, who haven't had the full course of vaccinations given at 2, 4, and 6 months.
They're particularly susceptible to getting infection, and because of their small airway, they're particularly susceptible to having very severe disease.
You see, the infection happens in the airway or trachea. The pertussis bacteria produce toxins that irritate and inflame the airway. This causes the severe, repeated cough that lasts for months.
They call it the 100-day cough.
Pedro and his entire family took antibiotics to treat the infection and prevent further spread. Now he's back to health after months of illness. For Medical Edge, I'm Vivian Williams.
Production of Being Well is made possible in part by Sarah Bush Lincoln Health System, supporting healthy lifestyles, eating a heart-healthy diet, staying active, managing stress, and regular checkups are ways of reducing your health risks. Proper health is important to all at Sarah Bush Lincoln Health System. Information available at sarahbush.org. Additional funding by Jazzercise of Charleston.